Welcome back to Rusty Iron Forge. We're going to be making the Bushmaster Axe. Fully integral, full tang axe. And what are we going to be making out of? Spring steel off a road grader. Let's go get this process down, throw it in the forge, and get started.
Welcome YouTube. Nice to be back. It's been a while. So we're doing this Bushmaster Axe. This is actually part of a larger project called Bushmaster Kit, where we'll be doing a Bushmaster saw and a Bushmaster hoe or entrenching tool. This is just the first project out of that larger project that we're going to be building. We're going to be building it out of all the same steel and essentially the same process that you're going to see here today. So we're just straightening the steel out and taking the bends out of it, making it nice and flat so we can get a look at what we're dealing with here. That's after we'd already cut the end off that had the holes in it. So just going through and straightening this last little bit here, and then we're going to put our first bend for our axe. None of this was planned out, and if you'd like to see the full uncut version of this, you can go become a Patreon of mine January 1st. Just search Rusty Hammer Forge on Patreon and subscribe. You'll be able to see fully uncut, narrated versions of the builds, plus other things involved there. That'll be a whole other video for us to make. So put our first compound or hard bend in this piece of steel. And what that entails is that we're taking the steel and bending it against the grain or against its own fibers, which is causing them to stack up on the bottom of the bend and thin out on the top of the bend. And you'll see it here in later shots to where that back part of the bend is really thin, and you can even see it right now where that inner part of the bend is starting to thicken up. So we're just gonna start upsetting this down into itself. It's the same way you make a square corner. You have to upset down from the top to bring it all together and to move some of that steel back down into that thinned out area that you have. There's another process you can do too, which is it's the same upsetting, except for we do it while it's straight, and we only heat the portion that we want to put the bend in as we drop our piece here. And then we take and upset that piece that we've heated right there at the bend mark, and it becomes thicker. You almost want to do it double the thickness of your steel so that when you bend that, it's going to stretch back down to the original thickness of the steel. But this is also the way to do it as well, where we upset, you bend it, then we upset back into it, and it gets most of that stretching out of the outside of the bend. Most of it. If you want to get it completely out, then you got to use the aforementioned process, which is isolating your heat, upsetting down on that isolated heat, and then doing your bend at that point where you isolated it. So this is water we're going into. Don't freak out. We're not going to ruin the steel. We're just cooling down the most outer layers of that steel so we have a nice, somewhat solid strike plate for our hammer to strike against. It is actually still really hot inside the core, and it's still about 800 degrees on the surface of that steel. So we're not doing any permanent damage to the structure of the steel, not making any hard cracks or anything into it. Not going to happen. It wasn't a hard quench. That was a pretty light quench we did there to create a upsetting surface so that we can move, so the force of our hammer was going down into the main body of the axe head and not just mushrooming the top hammering. So don't freak out. You can quench high carbon steels in water to cool them down. It's not going to hurt you. Doesn't look like much of an axe right now, but it is starting to take shape. You're starting to see the axe shape of a head you're starting to you can envision it as you're smithing it. You can start to envision what it's supposed to look like. Here, once we get it on the press and we really start isolating. Now, I could have done this all with the guillotines and everything like that, but the press made it quicker, a lot less heats on the steel. When you're doing a full integral piece like this, you're in and out of the forge a lot. Now, that will do detrimental things to the structure of your steel. If you have way too many heats in there, it will severely weaken it. And so having a press to be able to move it quickly, and you just got to look at that thin part on the back of our bend there versus the thickness of the inner part of the bend. And here we are at the press. We're going to isolate this axe head away from the shaft, the main shaft. And here's where it really starts to take shape and look like an axe. Continue to upset and forge this down, the shaft down, little bits at a time. Now, each one of those pressings is creating a minute step in there that could, if you're not careful, turn into an inclusion, a lap, whatever. So my suggestion is what I'm going to do next time is I'm going to use my drawing dies, my fillery dies, to do this work first and then come back with the flat dies, so that I'm not taking that chance of forging in a weak spot in the main shaft, the main part of the axe is going to be taking up all that vibration. We don't want any inclusions or anything like that in that portion. Luckily, it didn't happen, but it can, and it has before. So you got to be really careful with what you're doing when you're pressing something like this. It was just quicker and easier to not switch dies out, even though this is a pretty quick system that coal iron puts out. So we're going to be cutting this down now. After this, we don't need all that steel on there, so we're going to cut it down a little bit. Bam, there you go. We're actually going to make the saw out of that piece that we cut off. Because it's just straightforward. There's no compound bends or hard bends or anything like that in the saw. We're just going to draw it out and put a handle on it and cut our teeth into it. That'll be a fun video. Saws are really fun to make. So the full version of the video that's on Patreon is like 42 minutes long. So we're a little over half with this cut down version of it. So I will tell you, if you made it this far in the video, that if you become a Patreon member, there will be access to a Patreon only merchandise, sweatshirts, zipper hoodies, pullover hoodies, t-shirts, Henleys, and stuff like that. Short pockets. I have pockets. And there'll be the Rusty Hammer Forged established 2009 shirts with on the front, and then on the back it'll be a proud sponsor of Rusty Hammer Forged on the back. And you won't be, since you'll be charged $10 for the subscription, you're not gonna, you'll have $10 off the purchase of any merchandise on there already, automatically. It'll automatically be in the price already now, $10. So the YouTube crowd, which is most of you, will get access to on rustyhammerforge.com come January, most likely, will be the Rusty Hammer Forge No Flux Given shirts, and those will be come in a select variety, mainly t-shirts and sweatshirts. So, to get more access to different versions, and we'll have those on the other ones on Patreon as well. But to have access to the other merchandise, you must be a Patreon. Unfortunately, we got to put that paywall in there. So, but this has been a really fun build, really fun forge so far. We're going to do not a lot of grinding on the next video for this. We're going to get everything forged out. So we'll get the saw forged out, we'll get the hoe forged out, or the entrenching tool forged out, and then we'll do a whole nother series of videos for the grinding and handles, and that'll basically do 3 more videos on just putting grinding and putting the handles on, with sharpening. And the axe one pretty straightforward, the hoe one pretty straightforward. The one that's going to be cool is because we got to cut all the teeth from the axe, and then we got to align the teeth, not the axe but the saw, then we got to align the teeth, and that'll be fun. It's making a saw is great. This will be a pretty rigid saw too, but we'll get more into that when we do that video. That'll be the actual next long format video that we put out. Right now we're just upsetting the little portion of the handle back down into the main body of the head, so that we can help thicken those thin parts up that happened when we did the bend. Take out that little bow right there. Now the Bushmaster Axe, once we get the Bushmaster Kit done, the Bushmaster Axe will be put into the production line and sold at rustyhammerforge.com. Probably have a price point right around $200 for this. The Bushmaster Kit that we'll have will be given away to the fans of Rusty Hammer Forge now. They'll also be available for purchase, the Bushmaster Kit, once we get them all done and we start building them. And they'll only be available when I have them built. So they'll be on there, and then it'll take a month. So once you have it ordered, it'll be about a month before you get it. And those Bushmaster kits will be about $600. Almost to the point where we really start working on the axe head. Right now we're just doing a lot of upsetting, a lot of forging. This was a really fun project. A lot of forging involved. I really enjoyed it. Could you take thickness steel, cut this out? Of course you could. Do as minimal forging as possible to get them done. Yeah, of course you can. That's not going to happen in my shop. This is what I enjoy doing. I really enjoy the forging process. I enjoy all of it, but this is my favorite part of it. Is being able to forge everything out, and then do the grueling task of cleaning it up. And now we're starting to draw out our axe blade here. Start to get that quintessential axe look. This is what's called a single bearded axe. It's more of a hatchet, if I'm going to be honest with you, but that's fine. It's in the axe family. So coming into December, we'll have a full Patreon video on links in the description, what it's going to entail, what we're going to be offering, a full breakdown of what you get for the subscription fee of $10 a month. And I will tell you this: we'll have giveaways for all Patreon members. For the Patreon members, they'll be drawings. So basically, you'll by paying your $10 a month, you're going to be put into the drawing and then randomly drawn out. And we'll do it that way. So it's we're not saying that everybody on Patreon gets something for free. It's just that you have a chance of getting something for free if you're a Patreon subscriber. But we'll do a full video on that come the end of December when we get closer to the release date of the signups. That's looking like a real axe right there. We're gonna do a little more isolating here. Isolate the shaft and the axe head here. We're gonna do more. We're gonna start rounding the corners on it. Now the shaft is not a perfect cylinder. It's actually an ovoid shaped cylinder. It'll have flat sides with rounded edges. This axe wasn't planned. This whole kit isn't planned. There's no model, there's no drawing. It's all in my head, and I come up with it while we're recording it. And it turned out so good that I am going to be turning this into a production line here. And as I do them, figure out the process of them, they'll get better and better and better. And yes, for those of you, my hydraulic press is leaking profusely. The seals went out in the directional valve. I cannot find the proper seals to replace them. The directional valve is only like $150, so I'm gonna just go buy like 2 of them and have one in the wings for when it goes out. That is kind of a safety hazard when you have all that fluid pooling up right there below. You can catch fire. You do have fire extinguishers right around the corner. So in the case of that, and with that being a oil fire, having a dry fire retardant is good. We also have a couple boxes, I believe, of baking soda in the shop as well, just for that fact. Oil fires. Try not to use the press right now. Try and use as little as possible, just for the fact that it is that directional valve is leaking, and we're going to be getting that fixed here next month. But if you're in the market for a relatively inexpensive press, at least it was when I purchased it, Coal Iron Works online puts out very, very good tools. This press is ridiculously good, and it does a great job. For any small or high production shop. I've done a lot of work on this. We've done a lot of Damascus on this. We've done a lot of things on this. I've had a lot of people going through it. It's really, really good press. So check them out at coalironworks.com. Unsponsored, of course. When I have a tool that I really, really like, and anybody else looking for presses or anything like that, they actually have a power and air hammer, a pneumatic air hammer now, too, that they're putting out for under 10 grand, which is pretty deep.
We do the whole thing.
Down to the end of the video here, and I want to give a huge shout out to my wife. She's the one that filmed this entire video. Was a huge help, and the main reason we haven't filmed any more of the Bushmaster Kit is because she almost broke her ankle soon after filming this, and she's been late, kind of taking it easy. Hasn't missed any work over it, but we've been there's a lot of tripping hazards out here in the shop, and I'd rather her be confident enough on her ankle to get out here and start reshooting. So we'll be doing some more shooting of the Bushmaster Kit series here in December coming up. She's feeling really good, but she did a really good job shooting the video, and I couldn't have done it without her. It's a lot better video, I think, when it's off of a tripod and it's free-floating camera work than it's just stationary and every shot's different. I like the free-floating portion of it. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of that. If you like the stationary version of it, or if you like that kind of free-floating, moving around the work type shot. So I can only get better and put out better videos if you guys let me know how and like you on what you like to view. So let me know. We're also at the portion of the video right now too that if you've stayed this long and you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. I mean, I'm not getting paid to do any of this. This is just all for free for me. I love doing it. I'm going to be out in the shop working anyways. Might as well film it and share it with everybody else. So now we're going to start working on the actual handle portion of the axe here. We're using a ball peen to spread that out. We're basically forging it right now like you'd forge a knife blade, or you're working on the axe blade itself. We're keeping the spine thick and drawing it down like we're drawing bevels. We're drawing down and out with the ball peen. You can see it start to kind of bow back like a banana. I knew that was going to happen, so there's one or two ways you can deal with this. You can deal with it with the way I deal with it, which is when it starts to bow like that, then you just bend it back, or you can pre-bend it knowing that it's going to bow like that, and as you hammer it out, it straightens itself back out. But I just don't ever worry about it. I just let it go, and then knowing that I left the spine thick enough to where I'm going to bend it right back, and then make the bend go the other way. Now, if you're looking for a handle like this, you just keep it like that, right? Because sometimes it is a need or a want to have that handle bend coming up against the palm instead of away from the palm. Starting to look really, really good here. We have a few more heats to do to really isolate the bolster area of the axe, which is right up next to the front of the handle, and to kind of round out and soften the pommel area of that axe, and then blend everything together. We're getting right down to the nitty-gritty. It's turned out really good. These will also be available for purchase late winter, early spring 2024. That is the plan, at least. All purchases can be made through rusthammerforge.com/store or shop. Go to Rust Hammer Forge, hit the shop button if you're interested. There's really not anything on there right now. We're getting that done with our events, and then everything that is after events are done, everything will go back up on the website and for purchase. We'll have a bunch of new stuff up there. We'll have tongs, and I'll start getting more in the production of tongs. We'll start getting some steel for hammers and all that good stuff too. Start doing all production that I used to do in the old shop that we haven't done since moving to the new house and getting the new shop. So we still have to isolate the pommel up there. The handle's looking really good. We just softened the pommel section. We're getting ready to isolate the bolster section now. It'll make sense when you see it. Where I have it hanging over, that's the bolster section. So the main part of the handle's hanging off the anvil, and I'm notching up where that bolster section needs to be. So last heat here, and then we're done. Start drying that out here. Start feathering everything in. So I want to thank everybody. Be sure that you like and subscribe to this video and hit that notification bell, and be on the lookout for the Patreon subscription video and what that will entail come January 1, 2024. Thanks again, everybody, and we will see you on the next one. You guys stay safe out there, and Merry Christmas.